Taeho walked into the big meeting room with a smile on his face. The room was huge, with chairs arranged in a circle. Each chair was different, made for different types of aliens. Some chairs were tall for the long-necked Selenites. Others were wide for the heavy Drachmori. The human chairs looked small and simple next to all the others. Sora followed behind Taeho, carrying a tablet with notes. She had been working with him for 2 years now. Wu Jin came last, wearing his military uniform but no weapons. The aliens did not allow weapons in the council room. The 3 humans took their seats in the section marked for Earth. Taeho straightened his tie and looked around the room. Aliens from 12 different species sat in their chairs. Most of them ignored the humans completely. Gorthel was the first to speak. He was a Vorthak, which meant he looked like a big gray lizard with 4 arms. His voice was deep and rough. "Why? Are the humans here again?" Gorthul asked, looking at Taeho like he was something dirty. "Do they have anything important to say today?" Taeho stood up slowly. He kept his smile. "Thank you for asking, Counselor Gorthul. We are here to help in any way we can. Earth wants to be useful to the galaxy." Some of the aliens made sounds. That might have been laughter. Zephys, the Selenite representative, was one of them. Selenites were tall and thin with blue skin and big eyes. They thought they were the smartest species in the galaxy. "Useful," Zephys said in a high, singing voice. "Yes, humans are useful. Like tools. Simple tools for simple jobs." Sora wrote down everything they said. She did not look up from her tablet. Wu Jin sat very still, but his jaw was tight. Vexthar leaned forward in his chair. He was a Drachmori, which meant he was big and covered in thick skin like armor. Drachmori loved to fight and thought fighting made you strong. Vexithar had scars all over his face from battles. "I heard humans cry when they get hurt," Vexithar said with a nasty grin. "Is that true, Ambassador Taeho? Do you cry like little children?" The room got quiet. All the aliens looked at Taeho to see what he would do. Some looked excited, like they wanted to see a fight. Taeho's smile never changed. "You are right, Counselor Vexthar. Humans do show emotions. We think emotions help us understand each other better, but we are always ready to learn from species like yours who have more experience." Vexthar looked disappointed. He had wanted Taeho to get angry. The meeting went on for 3 hours. The aliens talked about trade routes and mining rights. They talked about territory and laws. Every time they mentioned humans, it was to give them the worst jobs. "The human ships can clean up the space junk around Sector 7, said one alien. "Let the humans fix the broken communication stations in the outer rim," said another. "Humans are good at boring work," added a third. Each time, Taeho nodded and said, "Thank you." He wrote down every assignment like it was an honor. Sora kept taking notes. Wu Jin kept sitting still. During a break, some of the younger aliens came over to the human section. They were curious about Earth's representatives. "Is it true that humans eat their food while it is still hot?" asked a young Selenite. "Yes," Sora answered politely. "We enjoy warm food." "How strange," the Selenite said. "And you sleep in darkness?" "Most humans prefer to sleep when it is dark, yes." The young aliens whispered to each other like humans were very weird animals in a zoo. When the meeting started again, the conversation turned to military matters. The Drachmori wanted to expand their territory. They had found 3 planets that humans had been living on for many years. "These worlds would make good training grounds for our young warriors," Vexthar announced. "The humans can move somewhere else." Taeho stood up. "Counselor Vexithar, those planets have human families living on them. Children go to school there. People have built homes." "So?" Vexithar shrugged his massive shoulders. "Humans can build new homes. You are good at building things, right? That is what you do." Gorthel nodded in agreement. "The Drachmori need those planets more than humans do. Humans do not fight wars. They do not need training grounds. We could give the humans 30 days to pack up and leave," suggested Zephys. "That seems fair." Taeho looked around the room. No one spoke up for the humans. No one said the idea was wrong. 3 planets with millions of people, and the aliens were talking about it like moving furniture. "Thank you for considering our situation," Taeho said carefully. Could we perhaps discuss other options? Maybe the Drakmori could use different planets for training? Vexithar laughed, a sound like rocks falling. Other options? Human, you are here to serve the galaxy, not to make demands. We have decided. Your people will move. The other aliens murmured in agreement. Some looked bored, like they were discussing what to have for lunch. Sora's pen stopped moving on her tablet. For just a moment, she looked up at Vexthar, but then she went back to her notes. Wu Jin had not moved in hours, but now his hands were flat on the table in front of him. Teho sat back down. We understand, Counselor. Earth will comply with the Council's decision. Good, Vexithar said. I was starting to think humans might actually try to argue with us, but you know your place. As the meeting ended, the aliens filed out of the room. They talked and laughed with each other. Some made jokes about humans being well-trained pets and the galaxy's janitors. Vexthar stopped near the human section on his way out. You know, Ambassador Teho, I made a bet with some of the other counselors. About what, sir? About how much abuse you humans will take before you finally get angry. So far, I am losing that bet. Vexthar's grin showed his sharp teeth. You just keep smiling and saying thank you. It is almost impressive how weak you are. Teho nodded politely. We try our best to be cooperative, Counselor. Keep trying, Vexithar said, and walked away laughing. The three humans sat alone in the empty meeting room. For several minutes, nobody spoke. Finally, Sora closed her tablet. 30 days to evacuate 3 planets. Millions of families, Wu Jin said quietly. It was the first time he had spoken all day. Teho was still smiling, but his eyes looked tired. We should send a message to Earth. They need to know about the Council's decision. They gathered their things and walked toward the exit. The stations. Artificial lights made everything look cold and harsh. Other aliens passed them in the hallways, but none looked at the humans directly. As they reached their quarters, Sora turned to Tai Ho. Sir, how long are we going to keep doing this? Teho looked at her for a long moment. His diplomatic smile was still there, but something else flickered behind his eyes. As long as necessary, Sora. As long as necessary. Behind them, Wu Jin quietly locked the door to their quarters. For the first time that day, none of them were smiling. The human quarters were small and simple. 3 bedrooms, 1 common area, and a kitchen that barely fit 2 people. The walls were plain metal painted white. It was nothing like the fancy rooms the other species got, but the humans had never complained. Teho sat at the small table in the center of the room. Sora was making tea in the kitchen. Wu Jin stood by the window, looking out at the stars. None of them had changed out of their formal meeting clothes yet. A soft beep came from the communication panel on the wall. Sora pressed a button and Minho's face appeared on the screen. He was back on Earth, working in the communications center. His face looked worried. Ambassador Teho, I have urgent news from the council vote, Minho said without any greeting. Teho leaned forward. Go ahead, Minho. The vote passed. All 12 species agreed. Humans have 30 standard days to evacuate from Kepler, 442b, Proxima Centauri c, and Tau Ceti e. The Drakmori will take control of all 3 planets for military training purposes. The room went very quiet. Sora stopped stirring her tea. Wu Jin turned away from the window. How many people live on those planets? Teho asked. Minho looked at his notes. Kepler 442b has 2,300,000 people. Most of them have lived there for 15 years. Proxima Centauri c has 1,800,000. Tau Ceti A has 900,000. 5 million people, Sora said softly. The families on Kepler 442b built schools and hospitals, Minho continued. The children there have never lived anywhere else. It is their home. Teho rubbed his forehead. What did Earth's government say about this? They want you to keep negotiating. They said we cannot afford to make the council angry with us. After Minho signed off, the 3 humans sat in silence. The tea got cold while they thought about 5 million people losing their homes. Another beep came from the communication panel. This time it was Haye Jin calling from her research station. She studied alien cultures and languages for the human government. Teho, I need to show you something, Haye Jin said when her face appeared on screen. She looked upset. I have been listening to alien communication channels like you asked me to. What did you find? Jin held up a data pad. I recorded conversations between council members after today's meeting. They were talking about humans when they thought no one was listening. She pressed a button, and alien voices filled the room. The universal translator turned their words into English. The humans are perfect servants, came Gorthel's rough voice. Smart enough to do complex work, but too soft to ever fight back. They are like well-trained animals, Zephys added in his high voice. You give them orders, and they obey without question. I almost feel bad for them, said a voice they did not recognize. But if they choose to be weak, that is their problem. Then Vexthar's voice came through the speakers. I bet 50 credits that the humans will accept any order we give them. They will never get angry no matter what we do. What if we take all their planets? Another voice asked. They will say thank you and ask where they should move, Vexthar replied with laughter. Humans have no pride, no spine. They exist to serve stronger species. Jin turned off the recording. There is more, but it gets worse. They call us the servant species in their private meetings. They think we are genetically designed to be submissive. Sora set down her teacup harder than necessary. Genetically designed to be submissive? They think evolution made humans weak on purpose, Jin explained, so we could serve other species without causing trouble. Jin finally spoke. Do they have any idea what humans are actually capable of? No, Jin said. They think our military is just for show. They think our emotions make us unstable and unreliable. They believe we are inferior in every way that matters. The communication ended. The three humans sat in their small room, thinking about what they had heard. Another call came in. This time it was young Sick, calling from his office in the intelligence division. His job was to gather information about alien governments and military forces. Ambassador, I have a report you need to see, young Sick said. His face was serious. It is about betting pools among council members. Betting pools? They are taking bets on human behavior. Vexthar started it, but now most of the council species are participating. Young Sick shared his screen with them. It showed a list of bets with alien names next to them. How long before humans break under pressure? Current bet is never. How many planets can we take from humans before they fight back? Current bet is all of them. Will humans cry if we execute one of their ambassadors? Current bet is yes, but they will not fight. What kind of work can we force humans to do? Current bet is anything, no matter how dangerous or degrading. Sora stood up suddenly, her chair scraping against the floor. They are betting on whether they can make us cry? It gets worse, young Sick said. Vexthar has proposed a new bet. He wants to see if humans will still be polite if the council orders us to give up Earth itself. The room went completely silent. Tejo stared at the screen. Give up Earth? He thinks humans are so weak that we would abandon our home planet if the council ordered it. Other species are already placing bets. Jin walked away from the window. He moved to the communication panel and looked directly at young Sick. What does intelligence show about our actual capabilities versus their assumptions? Young Sick smiled for the first time in the conversation. They have no idea, sir. None at all. How is that possible? They stopped paying attention after the first year. They decided we were harmless, so they stopped watching us carefully. They see what they expect to see, which is weak, emotional, submissive humans who exist to serve their betters. After young Sick signed off, the three humans sat without talking for a long time. Outside their window, alien ships moved past the station. The aliens inside those ships thought humans were nothing more than useful pets. Sora was the first to break the silence. 5 million people forced from their homes because aliens want target practice. And they are betting on whether we will cry about it, Jin added. Tejo had been quiet for almost an hour. Now he looked up at his companions. His diplomatic smile was completely gone. Sora, send a message to Earth. Tell them we need to speak with the real government. The real government, sir? Not the public officials. The ones who actually make decisions about defense and security. Sora nodded and started typing on her tablet. Tejo turned to Jin. How long would it take to activate our contingency plans? Which ones, sir? All of them. Jin was quiet for a moment. If we move fast, 12 hours? Maybe less? Good. Tejo stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the alien ships, but his expression was different now. I think it is time the Council learned something new about humans. What is that, sir? Sora asked. Tejo turned around. For the first time since they had arrived at the station, he was not smiling at all. That politeness is a choice, not a weakness, and we are about to stop choosing it. Sora and Wu Jin looked at each other. Something had changed in their ambassador. Something important. Outside, the alien ships continued their normal patrols. They had no idea that everything was about to change. Inside the human quarters, 3 people who had spent years being polite and submissive began making very different kinds of plans. The galaxy was about to learn what humans were really like when they stopped pretending to be weak. The emergency alarm in the council chambers was loud and harsh. Red lights flashed on every wall. Aliens rushed into their seats, some still wearing sleeping clothes. It was 3 in the morning, station time. Gorthel was the first to speak. His 4 arms waved in the air as he talked. What is happening? Why did you wake us up? Zephys floated into his chair, his long body moving like a snake. This better be important. Selenites need proper sleep cycles. Vexithar stomped into the room wearing his armor. Drakmori always wore armor when there might be danger. Is someone attacking the station? The council's communication officer was a small, furry alien called a pixie. She stood at the center of the room, her hands shaking as she held a data tablet. Counselors, we have lost all contact with human space, she said in a tiny voice. The room went quiet. What do you mean, lost contact? Gorthel asked. Every human colony, every human ship, every human station. They all stopped communicating at exactly the same time. 8 hours ago. Vexthar leaned forward. Stopped communicating how? Are they dead? No, sir. Our sensors show life signs on all human worlds. Ships are still moving. Stations are still powered. But they will not answer any calls. It is like they all decided to ignore us at the same moment. Zephys made a sound like wind blowing through trees. Impossible. No species can coordinate that perfectly across the entire galaxy. Humans can, said a voice from the entrance. Everyone turned to look. Day Young walked into the chamber, but he looked different from the quiet archivist they remembered. He wore a black uniform with no decorations. His face was calm and cold. Behind him walked Ji-Won and Sung-Min, also in black uniforms. Gorthel pointed at Day Young with one of his 4 arms. You are just the human record keeper. Why are you here? Day Young did not smile. He did not bow. He walked to the center of the room like he owned it. Counselor Gorthul, I am not a record keeper. I am Day Young, strategic commander of the Human Defense Force. I am here to explain what is happening. Human Defense Force? Vexthar stood up, his armor making metal sounds. Humans do not have a defense force. You are too weak for military operations. That is what we wanted you to think. Day Young nodded to Ji-Won, who activated a holographic projector. The air above the council table filled with images, star maps, ship formations, military installations, all of them marked with human symbols. For the past 4 years, while you have been treating us as servants, we have been preparing. The holograms showed human ships that looked nothing like the small, simple vessels the council had seen before. These ships were long and dark, with weapon systems that made even Drakmori warships look primitive. Those ships do not exist, Zephys said, but his voice was less certain than usual. We would have detected them. You detected what we wanted. You to detect, Sung-Min said. He was standing with his hands behind his back like a soldier. Our real fleet has been operating in stealth mode. The hologram changed to show human military bases hidden inside asteroids, built into moons, disguised as mining operations. There were hundreds of them. Vexthar was staring at the images with his mouth open. This is impossible. We monitored human space. We know everything you do. You know what we showed you, Day Young replied. Every time your scouts came to human space, we made sure they saw exactly what we wanted them to see. Weak defenses, simple technology, scared civilians. But your people really were scared, said a counselor from the beetle species. We saw them cry. We saw them beg. Jiwan stepped forward. Those were actors, professional performers, following scripts we wrote, for your benefit. The council chamber erupted in angry voices. Aliens shouted at each other in a dozen different languages. The universal translator could barely keep up. Silence! Dae-Young's voice cut through the noise like a blade. Every alien stopped talking and looked at him. You want to know why all human communication stopped at the same time? Because we turned off our politeness protocols. Politeness protocols? Gorthul repeated. For 4 years, every human in the galaxy has been following strict orders to appear weak and submissive. To smile when you insulted us. To say thank you when you gave us terrible jobs. To act grateful when you treated us like animals. Sungmin activated another hologram. This one showed communication networks stretching across the galaxy. Every human received the same message 8 hours ago. The pretending is over. No more fake smiles. No more false gratitude. No more acting weak. But you are weak, Vexthar insisted. Humans cry. Humans show emotions. That makes you vulnerable. Emotions do not make us weak, Dae-Young said. They make us dangerous. When you threaten our families, we get angry. When you insult our friends, we want revenge. When you try to take our homes, we become your worst nightmare. The hologram changed again. Now it showed human colonies on the 3 planets the Council wanted to take. But these were not the simple farming communities the aliens expected. They were fortified cities with defensive walls and weapon batteries. You cannot take our planets, Jiwan said calmly. You cannot make us move. You cannot force us to do anything anymore. A new alien entered the chamber. It was Kyung-ho, who the Council thought was just a transportation clerk. But now he wore the same black uniform as the others. Counselors, I am Fleet Coordinator Kyung-ho. I control all human ships in this sector of space. You coordinate supply runs, Zephys said weakly. I coordinate military operations disguised as supply runs. Kyung-ho activated his own holographic display. Right now, I have 300 human warships surrounding this station. The aliens all looked toward the windows. Outside, space looked empty and peaceful. You are lying, Vexithar said. I see nothing. Computer deactivate stealth fields for ships 1 through 10, Kyung-ho said. Suddenly, massive ships appeared outside the windows. They had been there all along, invisible to alien sensors. The ships were huge and covered with weapons. Several counselors made frightened sounds. The Pixie communication officer fainted and fell to the floor. Those ships could destroy this station in 30 seconds, Kyung-ho said, with no emotion in his voice. But we do not want to destroy anything. We want to negotiate, as equals. Gorthul's 4 arms were shaking. What do you want from us? First, you will cancel the order to evacuate. Human planets. Our people will stay in their homes. But the Drakmori need those planets for training, Vexthar protested. The Drakmori can find other planets. The galaxy is big. Second, Dae-Young continued, humans will have full voting rights in this council. We will not be treated as servants anymore. Third, Jiwan added, you will pay us back for 4 years of unpaid labor. Cleaning up your space junk, fixing your broken equipment, doing dangerous work for free. The council sat in stunned silence. Everything they thought they knew about humans was wrong. How? Zephys finally asked. How did we not see this? Because you saw what you expected to see, Sungmin explained. You decided humans were weak, so you stopped looking for signs that we were strong. You believed your own assumptions. But you cried when we insulted you, a counselor said. Our actors cried. Our real people were laughing at you. But you thanked us for giving you terrible jobs, because those terrible jobs let us scout your defenses and learn your weaknesses. But you seemed so grateful to be here. We were grateful. Your arrogance made it easy to fool you. Vexthar suddenly stood up, his hand reaching for his weapon. This is unacceptable. Drakmori do not negotiate with inferior species. Before he could draw his weapon, Sungmin moved. One moment he was standing calmly, the next moment he was behind Vexthar with the alien's own weapon in his hand. Counselor Vexthar, Sungmin said politely, I suggest you sit down. Vexthar looked around the room. The other humans had not. moved, but now they all looked like dangerous predators instead of harmless servants. He sat down. Good choice, Day Young said. Now let us discuss the new rules for how this council will operate. Outside the windows, more human ships appeared as their stealth fields deactivated. There were so many that they blocked out the stars. The Council of Species that had ruled the galaxy for centuries was about to learn what it meant to have humans as equals instead of servants, and they were all terrified. Yunsu walked into the council chamber carrying a metal case. She wore the same black uniform as the other humans, but she had silver markings on her shoulders. Her steps were precise and military. Behind her came Bo-Ra, carrying scientific equipment. Counselors, Yunsu said as she set the case on the table. I am military intelligence specialist Yunsu. I have been studying all of your species for the past 6 years. Gorthel's forearms twitched nervously. Studying us for what? To learn how to defeat you if we ever needed to. Yunsu opened the metal case. Inside were data crystals, each one labeled with the name of a different alien species. She picked up the one marked Vorthak and held it up. Counselor Gorthel, did you know that Vorthak warriors cannot fight effectively in temperatures below 0 degrees? Your blood becomes sluggish. Your reflexes slow down. Gorthel stared at her. How do you know that? We tested it. We hired Vorthak mercenaries and fought them in different environments. They thought they were just doing training exercises with weak humans. Bo-Ra activated a holographic display. It showed detailed anatomical charts of Vorthak physiology, including weak points and pressure points. We also learned that Vorthak have a blind spot directly above their heads, Bo-Ra added. Your forearms are very good for fighting enemies in front of you, but you cannot protect yourselves from attacks from above. Yunsu picked up another crystal, this one labeled selenite. Zephys, your people are very intelligent, but you have a fatal weakness. You cannot function in high gravity. Anything above 1.2 standard gravity makes you too heavy to move. Zephys made his wind-blowing sound, but it was much quieter than usual. That information is classified selenite medical data. Not anymore. We have complete biological profiles on every council species. Yunsu held up the crystal marked Drakmori. Vexthar, would you like to know what we learned about your people? Vexthar was trying to look brave, but his hands were shaking slightly. Drakmori fear nothing. Drakmori fear sonic weapons. High-frequency sounds cause you intense pain and disorientation. That thick skin that protects you from physical attacks actually makes sound-based weapons more effective against you. Bo-Ra's hologram changed to show detailed schematics of Drakmori anatomy. We also discovered that Drakmori have excellent hearing, which makes them vulnerable to sensory overload attacks. This is impossible, Vexthar said, but his voice was weak. How did you learn these secrets? The same way we learned everything else, Yunsu replied. While you were treating us like servants, we were watching and learning. Every time you came to human space, our scientists studied you. Chan Wu entered the chamber carrying a portable computer. He was younger than the other humans, but his eyes were sharp and calculating. I am Strategic Analyst Chan Wu, he said as he set up his equipment. For 4 years, I have been mapping the political weaknesses of every council species. His computer projected a complex diagram showing relationships between different alien governments. Lines connected various species, showing alliances and conflicts. The Vorthak government is currently facing a rebellion on their outer colonies, Chan Wu reported like he was reading the weather. The rebels are angry about high taxes and forced military service. Gorthel jumped out of his chair. That information is classified. How do you know about the outer colonies? Because we have been secretly supplying the rebels with weapons and communication equipment, Chan Wu said calmly. The room erupted in shocked voices. Several counselors started shouting at once. The Selenite High Council is split into 3 factions, Chan Wu continued, ignoring the noise. They are fighting over who will be the next prime philosopher. The conflict is so bad that they have stopped making important decisions. Zephys rose from his chair, his long body swaying with anger. You cannot possibly know about internal selenite. Politics! We know because we have been intercepting your communications for years. Your encryption is not as good as you think it is. Bo-Ra smiled for the first time since entering the room. We also know that the Drakmori military is planning to overthrow their civilian government. The generals think the politicians are too weak. Vexthar's face went pale under his scars. That is That is completely false. General Krextar is leading the conspiracy, Chan Wu said, reading from his computer. He plans to make his move during the Festival of Blades next month. He already has support from 6 of the 12 military districts. Vexthar sat down heavily in his chair. The information was too accurate to be a guess. How? He whispered. How do you know these things? Ara entered the chamber at that moment. She was older than the other humans, with gray hair and steady eyes. She wore a different uniform, dark blue instead of black. I am Ara, representative of the Earth Confederation government, she announced. I am here to explain how we know so much about all of you. She walked to the center of the room and looked at each alien counselor in turn. While you thought humans were your servants, we were actually running the largest intelligence operation in galactic history. Every human janitor in your government buildings was really a spy. Every human cook in your restaurants was gathering information. Every human repair worker in your military bases was copying your technical specifications. The aliens stared at her in shock. Every single human you have ever met has been working for Earth intelligence, Ara continued. The scared farmers, the crying diplomats, the grateful workers, all of them were agents collecting data about your species. But there are billions of humans across the galaxy, said a counselor from the Insect Coalition. They cannot all be spies. Every human adult receives intelligence training as part of their basic education, Ara explained. We teach our children how to observe, how to remember, and how to report useful information. It is as normal for us as learning to read. Bo-Ra activated another hologram. This one showed the communication network that connected all human settlements. Every piece of information collected by every human anywhere in the galaxy is sent to our central analysis centers on Earth, she said. We have been building detailed profiles of every alien species, every government, every military force, and every economic system. For 4 years you have been telling us your secrets, Yunsu added. You thought we were too stupid to understand what you were saying. You discussed classified information in front of us because you believed we were harmless. Chan Wu pulled up another file on his computer. We know about the Beetle Coalition's plan to corner the market on rare metals. We know about the Slug, Empire's secret weapon research. We know about the Crystal Being's attempts to manipulate galactic currency. Each accusation made different counselors look more and more uncomfortable. We know which species are planning to betray their allies, Ara said. We know which governments are about to collapse. We know which military forces are preparing for war. But most importantly, Yunsu said, we know that none of you are as strong as you pretended to be. The holographic display changed to show comparative military strengths. Human forces were displayed in blue, while alien forces were shown in red. The blue sections were much larger than anyone had expected. The Drakmori have the strongest military among Council species, Bo-Ra reported. But they only have 40,000 combat-ready ships. We have 200,000. Vexthar's mouth fell open. 200,000 ships? That is impossible. The Vorthak have impressive ground forces, Chan Wu continued. 3 million soldiers. We have 50 million, and ours are better trained. The Selenite have advanced technology, Ara added. But they have only been building defensive systems. We have been building weapons. Gorthel found his voice. Where did you get the resources for all of this? We monitored your industrial capacity. You monitored what we showed you, Yunsu replied. Our real industrial capacity is spread across thousands of hidden facilities. We have been building ships and weapons in asteroid belts, inside gas giants, and in empty space between star systems. While you were laughing at how weak and stupid we were, Ara said, we were becoming the strongest military force in the galaxy. The council chamber was completely silent. The aliens who had spent 4 years treating humans like servants were beginning to understand that they had made a terrible mistake. What do you want from us? Zephys finally asked in a small voice. Era smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. We want to renegotiate our relationship, as equals this time. Outside the windows, more human ships continued to appear as their stealth systems deactivated. There were so many now that they formed a solid wall around the station. The galactic balance of power had just shifted completely, and the Council was only now beginning to understand how outmatched they had always been. 1 week later, the Council chamber looked the same, but everything felt different. The aliens still sat in their special chairs, but now they sat quietly and listened carefully. The humans had moved from the small section marked Earth to a larger area with proper chairs and equipment. Insu walked to the center of the room carrying a formal document. He wore a dark gray uniform with golden shoulder markings. Behind him came Seo Jun, who carried a briefcase full of military reports. Counselors, Insu said as he placed the document on the table. I am Insu, the new human representative to this council. I am here to present humanity's first official proposal as full members. The aliens leaned forward to listen. Gone were the dismissive looks and bored expressions. Every species representative was paying complete attention. We propose the formation of the Galactic Defense Alliance, Insu continued. A mutual protection agreement between all member species with equal participation and equal benefits. Gorthel raised one of his 4 hands. His voice was polite and respectful. What would this alliance involve, Counselor Insu? Each species would contribute ships and personnel to a combined fleet. In return, all member worlds would be protected from external threats. Zephys spoke next, his tone much more humble than before. External threats? What kind of threats? Seo Jun stepped forward and activated a holographic display. It showed star maps of the galaxy, with different colored sections representing various territories. There are 17 hostile civilizations operating beyond Council space, Seo Jun explained. Some of them have been probing our defenses for years. The hologram zoomed in on a section of space marked in red. Strange angular ships moved through the area in formation. The Devourers have been testing our outer defenses for 6 months, Seo Jun continued. They consume entire planets to fuel their expansion. Their technology is more advanced than anything the Council currently possesses. Vexthar leaned forward in his chair. How do you know about these threats? We have not detected any hostiles. Ships. Because our ships have been protecting Council space from them, Insu replied. While you thought we were cleaning up space junk, we were actually fighting battles to keep hostile forces away from your worlds. The hologram changed to show combat recordings. Human ships engaged strange alien vessels in fierce battles. Energy. Weapons lit up space as the 2 fleets fought. This battle happened 3 days ago, Seo Jun said. 200 Devourer ships attempted to attack the Vorthak outer colonies. Our defense fleet stopped them. Gorthel's 4 arms began shaking. You saved Vorthak colonies, but we did not ask for your help. You did not need to ask. Protecting innocent people is what civilized species do. The aliens looked at each other with guilty expressions. For years they had done nothing to help humans, while humans had been secretly protecting them. Yujin entered the chamber, carrying a tablet full of philosophical texts. She was older than most of the other humans, with kind eyes and a gentle manner. But when she spoke, her words carried great weight. Counselors, I want to talk about the nature of strength and civilization, Yujin said as she took her place near the holographic display. For 4 years, you believed that showing emotion was weakness. You thought that being polite was submission. You assumed that cooperation meant inferiority. She activated her tablet, and quotes appeared in the air above the council table. But true strength is not about dominating others. True strength is about protecting those who cannot protect themselves. True civilization is not about taking what you want. True civilization is about working together to build something better. The quotes floating in the air were from human philosophers, but they were translated into every council language. Humans have a saying, Yujin continued. The strongest people are not those who show strength in front of us, but those who win battles we know nothing about. Zephys spoke softly. You were fighting battles we knew nothing about. Every day. While you were insulting us in council meetings, our soldiers were dying to protect your colonies from invasion. While you were betting on how much abuse we would take, our scientists were developing new technologies to defend galactic civilization. The hologram changed to show casualty reports. Thousands of human names scrolled past, marked as killed in action defending alien worlds. These are our people who died protecting species that considered them inferior, Seo Jun said quietly. They never asked for recognition. They never demanded gratitude. They fought because it was the right thing to do. The council chamber was completely silent. Several aliens were making sounds that might have been crying. Vexithar stood up slowly. The proud Drakmori warrior looked older than he had a week ago. "Counselor Insu," he said formally, "the Drakmori Empire would like to join your defense alliance." "We would be honored to have you," Insu replied with a slight bow. One by one, the other species representatives stood and formally requested to join the alliance. Even the proud Selenites asked politely to be included. When all the votes were counted, the proposal passed unanimously. As the formal session ended, Vexithar approached Insu privately. The big alien moved carefully, like he was afraid of making the human angry. "Counselor Insu, may I ask you a personal question?" "Of course. How long could your people have done what you did this week? How long have humans been capable of taking control?" Insu thought for a moment before answering. "We could have taken control on the first day we arrived at this station, Counselor Vexthar. Our ships were already in position. Our intelligence network was already in place. Our military forces were already superior to anything the Council possessed." Vexithar's scarred face showed confusion. "Then why did you wait 4 years? Why did you let us treat you so badly?" "Because we hoped you would eventually learn to treat us as equals without being forced to. We gave you every opportunity to choose cooperation over domination. But we failed that test." "You did, but that does not mean we have given up on you." Vexthar was quiet for a long moment. "I made bets about how weak humans were. I was completely wrong." "You were not wrong about everything, Counselor. Humans do show emotions. We do cry when we are hurt. We do care about our families and friends. But those things do not make you weak. No, they make us human. And being human means we will protect others, even when those others have not been kind to us." Later that day, the Council held its first joint session under the new alliance structure. Humans sat alongside aliens as equal partners. The conversation was polite and respectful. But the biggest change was not in how the aliens treated humans. It was in how they treated each other. The casual cruelty and arrogant dismissal that had characterized council meetings for decades was gone. As Yu Jin explained to the assembled delegates, when you realize that someone you considered weak is actually stronger than you, it makes you think about who else you might have underestimated. The Drakmori began treating the smaller species with more respect. The Vorthak stopped using their 4 arms to intimidate others. The Selenites shared their advanced technology instead of hoarding it. In the weeks that followed, the Defense Alliance proved its worth. When the Devourers launched a major invasion, the combined fleet of all Council species fought them off. But it was human ships that led the charge, and human strategies that won the battles. The galaxy entered a new era of cooperation and mutual defense. Species that had spent centuries fighting each other learned to work together. Technologies were shared freely. Trade agreements were made fairly, and at the center of it all were the humans who had spent 4 years being polite while they quietly became the strongest military force in known space. Teho, the former ambassador who had smiled through years of insults, was now the Alliance's first supreme commander. Sora, who had taken notes on every cruel comment, became the head of interspecies relations. Wu Jin, who had sat silently through countless humiliations, was now the Alliance's chief military strategist. On the first anniversary of the Defense Alliance, Yu Jin gave a speech to the full council. "Counselors, we learned something important this year. Politeness is not weakness. Courtesy is not submission. Choosing peace is not the same as being unable to fight." She looked around the room at aliens and humans sitting together as equals. Humanity had the power to conquer this galaxy from the beginning. Instead, we chose to protect it. We chose to build something better than an empire based on fear and domination. We chose civilization. The applause that followed was genuine and heartfelt. The species that had once bet on human weakness now stood together as allies, protected by the very people they had once considered servants. Outside the council chamber, human ships patrolled peacefully alongside alien vessels. The galaxy was safer, more prosperous, and more united than it had ever been. And it had all started the day the Council witnessed humanity's polite mode turn off in real time.